On episode 308 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we meet with Dr. Ruth Parker and Dr. Carmen Patrick Mohan and discuss their book, The Woman's Guide to Health. Guys, don't skip this one. I made sure to pull something out of them for you too. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/308. This episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is sponsored by Health IQ. Go to healthiq.com/40plus. You're listening to a health and fitness podcast, so I'm hopeful that you're acting on that advice. And if you are, you're likely going to live longer. And Health IQ uses that information to get you lower rates on life insurance. You'll go through a series of surveys and they can find out a policy that will save you money. I know life insurance isn't all that glamorous or fun to talk about, but it's one of those things that you'll be glad you have it when you need it. Get your free quote at healthiq.com/40plus. That's 40PLUS. Or mention the code 40plus when you talk to a Health IQ agent. You'll be helping me out and you'll get a great rate on life insurance. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. Hello, and thank you for being a part of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. This has been a very interesting week for me, planning a family vacation with my siblings on my father's side. Don't get an opportunity to spend a lot of time with them as a group. In fact, almost never. So this is kind of interesting. We're all getting together down in the Miami Keys area, and we're going to spend a week together. So it's going to be really, really exciting, but it's also kind of got me a little discombobulated trying to get things done while I'm on the move, getting ready for this trip and then getting on the trip. So as you're listening to this, if you're listening to it when it first comes out, I'm actually down in the Keys probably fishing today. But anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to take some time and really enjoy myself, then come back and go hard charge. But of course, I'll always be there for you. So if you need something, reach out, send me an email, join us on Facebook. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/group. The Facebook group is a great opportunity. I share motivational quotes. I spend some time on there, tell you about episodes you might have missed. And I'm there to answer any questions you might have and just kind of have a dialogue about the stuff that you're thinking about. It'll help me make this podcast a better thing because I really want to bring on the guests and I want to talk about the things that matter most to you. If I'm bringing on guests that you're not really interested in, then I'm not really hitting the target. I'm not really giving you what you deserve. I want to make sure that when you tune into an episode of 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, that you're learning something that you feel good about, that you can apply in your life and find benefit, because we're all in this together, and I want to make sure you get the best of what you can get. So join me on the group. Again, 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/group, and that'll take you to the Facebook group. Just go ahead and ask to join. Really cool environment. I love interacting with folks out there, particularly now, right now we're doing the squat challenge, and people are really enjoying that for this month. It's been great. A lot of interaction out there with folks on their squats, and it's, again, just something I really, really enjoy. Now, I've been offering the Surefire Results for Weight Loss for free, and it's really heating up. I mean, people are dropping pounds, and I get the emails on pretty much a daily basis now, and it's just really, really cool to have that feedback on this offer, what's going on in their lives as they lose weight. And I'm just really excited about it. But, I can't just keep doing that for free. So it is going to come to an end. And so as of March 12th, I'm going to go ahead and resume charging for the program. If you want to lose some weight before the summer, which I can't imagine there's very many people out there that don't want to lose just a little bit, go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/results. And you can sign up for free right now. I was telling a friend about the program. We were talking about what I'm doing now that as other people tend to look at it, I'm unemployed. They don't understand the amount of work that goes into a podcast and doing the online training and everything. So I was kind of talking about it. I told him I had this free program. And he said, okay. I said, well, I'll send you a link. And I did. I sent it this morning. And he got the link. And this response back to me was, well, I'll find a good time to start. And I have to tell you, the best time to start is right now. Okay, on this 28-day program, I help folks lose 8 to 10 pounds. And I haven't yet had anyone that hasn't successfully lost weight. I've had a couple that told me they didn't quite lose the 8 to 10 pounds, but those were individuals typically that didn't have 8 to 10 pounds to lose. So they didn't, but they did lose weight. And so this is a program that I know works, and it's just a few little bitty tweaks to your lifestyle. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's not intense exercise. It's not intense dieting. I'm literally just giving you 3 simple lifestyle changes. You implement those and you start losing weight. It's that simple. And again, as of March 12th, I'm going to go back to charging for the program. So if you want to check it out for free, get out there today. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/results. When I'm doing interviews, I do a lot of one-on-ones. Obviously, most books are written by a single author. There's a few that are written by two, and some are written by three. I really enjoy those conversations when I get more than one person on the phone, particularly if that person, if one of the people is not the ghostwriter, but they actually all are really cool, really smart people. And so those conversations where there's multiple people, I just feel like give me such a buzz. I really enjoy those conversations. And on this one, I thought I was going to have three authors, so we scheduled for all three. And then I had a scheduling snafu and I had to reschedule. And as a result, Jeff Galloway, the Olympian runner, he couldn't make it. And I had Jeff on. So after you get through with this episode, I want you to go back to episode 248. I'll put a link in the show notes. But Jeff and I talked about his run, walk, run method. And it's a real cool program for pretty much anyone that wants to be better at running. Go check that out. This book today, we're going to talk about Women's Guide to Health. It's basically based on that book. So the prescriptions that the doctors give in their book, the health prescriptions, those include using the run, walk, run method to improve your overall fitness, and then that correlates with the other tips and things that they put in the book that basically make you more healthy and more fit. So it all comes together. But the two ladies I had on, the two doctor ladies, they're awesome. This was an awesome conversation. We shared a lot of great tips. They call them prescriptions again. They leverage Jeff's program. And so it's kind of all blends together a lot like I feel like when I'm talking to folks, I can't just tell them focus just on your fitness, even though that's what, I am, personal fitness trainer. You got to put it all together in a program that works for you. And I really like their program. So with no further ado, here's Dr. Ruth Parker and Dr. Carmen Patrick Mohan. So Carmen, Ruth, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
I'm so happy to be here. And this is Ruth. I'm happy to be here as well.
The title is The Woman's Guide to Health, and you wrote this with Jeff Galloway. And due to my move, we had to reschedule, so Jeff couldn't be on the call. I've had Jeff on the podcast before, and his run, walk, run process, I think, is just brilliant, not just for the person who's just starting running, but anybody that really wants to be better at running. And so there's that aspect of the book, of the exercise aspects of it. But you guys, as doctors, gals, as doctors, have kind of dived into the different things that women can do to live healthier, more fulfilling lives as they're doing the exercise, as they're doing these other things. And the cool thing of this is not just a book for women. A lot of the advice, a lot of the recommendations that are in here are valuable to men as well.
Well, I think it's so important that you figured this out. I guess when we were initially thinking about this book, we thought of women as being society's health brokers. And so often it's women looking out for men, and that's the reason married men end up living 3 years longer than unmarried men. So it's nice to have guys interested in us for a change.
Yes. Well, my recent life change, I'm at home working from home, so I have time to do some things that were a little different. So I'm actually cooking all of our meals now. So we're, as who I am, as the host of 40 Plus Fitness and a personal trainer, I'm taking the time to make sure that we're getting good quality whole meals for all 3 meals of the day versus just, occasionally picking up here and there with a meal at home. We're actually eating all of our meals cooked at home now. And it's really made a big difference for my wife and for myself.
Absolutely. This is Ruth, and I will just say it is absolutely a pleasure for us to be able to partner with Jeff. He's pretty much a household name to many people who have fitness as a part of their life. Yes, he's an Olympian. It's kind of nice if you were in the Olympics once, you're an Olympian for life, and his books are well known to many people, and it's certainly changed the lives of many people with making walking, physical engagement a part of what you do all the time. This is the first time that Jeff has actually partnered with physicians to write a book. He's got many books that are out there, but Carmen and I are both primary care physicians and have been taking care of patients, trying to follow our own advice and share it with our patients. And the target for this book was really to say, as we age, and especially as you're over 40 and into your 50s and 60s, all of us are more likely to have and carry a diagnosis of a chronic health condition. As we age, we're all going to have something. Some things are more common than others, but what we did in this book is we really took about 10 of the most common chronic health problems, and we linked to those what's known about physical activity and reaching a target of 150 minutes a week as a minimum of run walking using Jeff's program with an approach to a healthy diet in terms of what we're eating and also how we sleep. And we do that through a series of prescriptions. And basically our thinking is that this is an action guide. We're encouraging people to take this book, to follow it step by step, use it in conversation with your physician, especially if you are someone who has or is close to having one of the common chronic health conditions. Things like aches and pains in the joint, osteoarthritis, high blood pressure, increased cholesterol in the blood, prediabetes or diabetes, grief, anxiety, depression, things that all of us face at some point in our lives. All of these are greatly impacted by our physical fitness, by what we eat, how much sleep we have. And that's what we've really tried to do in the book is link what we know about these things and the evidence about them to a very well-established action guide program for 30 weeks of run walking that were well-established and have been used now by literally millions of people around the world that Jeff Galloway promoted.
Yeah, I think that's an important concept. Two pieces of that is one, this is something you don't just go do in lieu of going and seeing your doctor or physician. This is something you do along with them. So you have a treatment plan and you start using this 30-week program, and it's going to kind of help you improve your body, improve a lot of things about your health. Then working with your doctor, maybe you're less medicine, maybe your numbers are getting better, but you're still tracking that and working with a physician, and the physician knows you're working through this program. So it's a very holistic approach, but it's also something you're very engaged in with your doctor so that you're getting the best benefit. And the other thing I want to get to is, as you said, 30 weeks. And I think that's something that's critically important for folks to understand. This episode's going live in February. You probably already given up on your resolutions for the year. Well, it's time to step it back up because and it's not something that's going to happen in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're probably going to see some benefit from the exercise, the diet, the sleep, and all the things that you're doing within those times. But the real effect comes from the long-term doing this for a while. And the 30 weeks, I think, is an excellent thing to put in your head is it's going to take some patience before you really see the fundamental change in your body and your life and everything else.
Alan, this is Carmen. You really nailed it with those comments because what we were actively seeking to do is create tools to use in conversation with your doctor. So if you take in one of our 30-week training programs and ask the doctor, hey, do you think this is something that I should do? The doctor can help you modify it to fit your healthcare situation. I would just love it if I had a patient bring in something like one of our training programs. And I would just let everyone know out there, all of your listeners, our tools are available on our website, which is herprescriptions.com. They're all free downloads. They're to be used with the book. So they make the most sense in the context of our readers, but our training programs are there. Our health journal is there. Yeah, we're actively looking for these conversations among our own patients, and we're hoping everyone else will do the same.
And this is Ruth. I think the other thing, Alan, is 30 weeks is the beginning of making a habit, I would say. And, we would not be the first nor the last to say, it's actually Aristotle who said it, we are what we do repeatedly. But health is really about our habits. And 30 weeks is, in my mind, as a physician and as a human being, the beginning of establishing health habits. And the goal here really is to make how we move our bodies, the greatest machine on earth in my mind, certainly, what we put into those machines and fuel it with to keep us going, and how we treat it in terms of how we restore its energy when we sleep. It's all about sort of maximizing our ability to be as healthy as we can through habits. And I think our lens as physicians is that we do know and do have things that we do within medicine to augment that. But the goal is to really help each individual cultivate habits that support well-being. And no matter what your chronic health condition may be, habits can maximize our ability to be healthy. And that's really where we're going in the book.
Now, the cool thing, like I said, this is a program that you're going to work with your doctor, but I'm a big proponent, and I see this with my clients. I'll have a client that's never trained in their lives, have always eaten the SAD diet. They don't sleep well. They're chronically stressed. And so they're starting from a very, very low point. And then I have some that are past athletes. I have one that he played squash competitively at one point in his life, and he kind of wants to get back up to that level. So you have different herb prescriptions for people that are at different phases in their lives and different phases in their training. Could you kind of talk about the three different levels that you have? Because I think they're really important for folks to understand that to get started, to kind of keep going and to make things work for you long term, you have a path, you have a long-term strategy and path that this kind of puts together for you.
Sure. This is Carmen. When we started to think about what each level would be, we wanted to make exercise available to all of our patients. So from the person who, when they stand up, feels like they're huffing and puffing, feels out of breath, which is someone who is getting started with improving their own health through movement of their body. Get started can be used to simply stand up, stay up there 15 to 30 seconds, then sit back down and take as long as you need to recover before standing back up again. And what you do there is really charting how long you're able to stand up over, say, 6 minutes.
Based on Jeff's motto with us is no huffing and puffing. So you stay up there till it's comfortable, and now you're starting to get slightly on that edge of uncomfortable, and then you sit back down, recover, and that's the not huffing and puffing aspect of Jeff's run, walk, run.
I'm so glad you highlighted that, because exercise should be enjoyable for all of us. And too often we're told, no pain, no gain, especially in exercise programs that promote strength training. And so this is not that. This is how to enjoy your life and how to live your life so that you reach the goals that are right for you. And so when I'm talking about getting started, it really is that person who's getting started. It's not so intense that you couldn't do it. But then let's say you complete getting started. So with Get Started, everybody reaches the 150 minutes a week recommended by the CDC. So no matter where you are, you can do this, and you can make your body move for the level that's recommended by the CDC. But then let's say you want to keep going. So we'll walk you through another 30 weeks. And then in Keep Going, you go from where you stopped with Get Started all the way up to running and walking according to part of Jeff's program. And then our last program, another 30-week program, is Burn Fat. And with Burn Fat, that is for the person who feels that they'd like to start to lose weight and improve body composition when they add on our diet component.
This is Ruth. The other thing in the book really is that we link what's known about completing these programs to evidence that's out there from science and medicine, and how it impacts your health when you have various conditions like high blood pressure or a higher blood sugar or anxiety and depression and osteoarthritis. So the relevance of the book for all of us as we age is that we will have chronic health conditions. And there's absolutely good science and good evidence to say that following and incorporating prescriptions for health like the fitness component, what we eat, and how we sleep can make us all healthier as we age.
Yeah. And, I think that's really critical in that as we're thinking about our health and we're making these changes, you're talking about, and I'm not going to say minor, they're minor changes from the perspective of each day. What you're doing is slightly different than the day before. So you're getting better, but it's not this stretching, hurting yourself, pushing yourself to some extreme. It's literally the easiest way for me to say it. It's a gentle progression to a better lifestyle.
Oh my goodness, Alan, I understand why your wife likes you so much. That's right. Gentle, not so hard. And you're going to get where you need to go. What we do is everyone understands better health is good. We don't need to convince your audience in particular that they should go and work out. Instead, what we really help with is what Ruth was alluding to earlier, the habit formation, the consistency, the being really clear about what your health goal is, being really specific about it, and going out and doing it, and how you reinforce with yourself. It's a system. The book is really advocating a system. I believe every single woman should have it, but you're convincing me, Alan, every man needs it too.
Yes, yes. The 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is sponsored by Health IQ, an insurance company that helps health-conscious people like runners, cyclists, weightlifters, and vegetarians get lower rates on their life insurance. You're doing something to be healthier. Take advantage of it by getting the best rates on life insurance. Go to healthiq.com/40 plus to support the show and see if you qualify. And I'll say this, as I started really kind of looking at my health and fitness, you start with the exercise because that just seems to be the most appropriate, particularly for a guy, I guess. Start exercising, and then you start looking at the food and then sleep and then stress. And so it's kind of funny as I went through that progression, I became a lot better at exercising. I became a lot better at understanding what foods did to my body. And then I became a professional sleeper. I'm still working, and I say professional because I'm actually really good at it. And if they paid, I'd be world champion. But the stress part is another whole struggle for me. I'm now starting to kind of get my hands on. But I want to go back and talk about sleep because I think that's a component that a lot of people sacrifice, thinking I should forego sleep to exercise or forego sleep to do these other things like prep meals or other things. But you have to put an emphasis on sleep if you're going to have a healthy lifestyle. Could you talk about sleep and some of the hygiene things that you have in the book?
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting. In my course, Fundamentals of Health for Professional Women, I help these women prioritize sleep over, for example, getting exercise and over trying to diet for weight loss. So sleep is so fundamental that it should be first. The only other thing, the caveat to it. So everybody goes through those times when coping with life and the stresses of life are just there. The worst thing to do in terms of how we sleep is worry about getting too little sleep. So if it's in your ability to get just one more hour of sleep, please do that. It will come back to you as a reimbursement. If we were talking money, everybody would be sleeping that extra hour. But if you just can't, because there's just too much going on and you really don't have control over those parameters, then don't worry about the fact that you're not sleeping well. Everyone doesn't sleep well at some juncture of their life. That's particularly with women. Just the way that our hormones are fluctuate, it's just we're at some point in our lives, we're not going to be the best of sleepers. The worst thing to do is say, oh, I have insomnia, and try to claim that identity. There's really new research out about insomnia identity, and people who worry about not getting good sleep end up functioning poorly during their days. But people who get bad sleep and don't worry about it do just fine. So we strongly advocate those 7 hours of sleep because that's what research is showing. 7 hours of good quality sleep will come back to you in health benefits, no matter what other changes you make. But don't worry about it if you're in one of those chunks of time when you just can't sleep well.
This is Ruth. I would just add that viewing sleep and rest as a time of restoration is helpful. And I think, just to sort of piggyback on what Carmen said, it's really important not to claim a mindset that you're fighting insomnia. That's not where you want to go. You'll notice in the book when you go through it that there are specific tips and specific action steps, and there's journaling that goes along to reinforce sort of an approach to this. The book is an action guide, and it does have these multiple components. And what we really recommend is that you get the book, take a look, work through all its various components, use the downloadables on our website of herprescriptions.com as you go through it, and take this and use it as a tool in conversation with your primary care doc, your primary health care provider, and be a part of sort of promoting this attitude that we can hold our heads high, we can lead with our hearts, we can have the wind at our back, and we can all claim good health.
I think that's really important. Is I've learned to not stress about my sleep. I just go to, I know how much sleep I need. I know when I need to go to bed. I listen to my body. Those are just kind of basic concepts. And I can say, other than this morning, because you're right, I didn't have as well of a night last night. I still tried to go to bed early. I didn't sleep as well. And I felt a little tired. I knew I needed to get up at 5 o'clock. I did set an alarm. But most mornings, I find that if I set my bedtime at a given bedtime, I wake up about the same time every morning without an alarm. It's just a function of understanding how my body's going to work. But I kind of agree with you is I don't have this expectation that I'm not going to sleep. I don't have this expectation. I just lay down and I try to go to sleep. And I guess that's a hard concept for someone to kind of take on, is to say, okay, why am I not sleeping? And that whole cycle, what are some of the hygiene things? What are some of the tips that you would have for someone to kind of, I mean, maybe it's in it, part of it is that journaling, but what is the actual flush out? What is the actual thing that would you think would do the most benefit for the average person starting out?
Go to our website and download the journal pages. If you're having trouble sleeping, download the journal pages. Sleep, so many things impact sleep, especially things we did 3 days before or that we're going to do 3 days later. It's really difficult to determine what's impacting our sleep without having the ability to recognize a pattern. Read the section of the book that has to do with sleep. Read the section of the book that has to do with how to keep a health journal and use it. Use it every day. And do that for, what did you say, Ruth? With
30 weeks. 30 weeks. Do it for 30 weeks. I think, like, boy, we're Americans. We love quick fixes. We like efficiency. We like fixes. That's how you get to be wherever you are by the time you're 40. It's efficiency. How much can I cram in? How much can I do? How efficient can I be? And at some point, I think I'm probably older than either one of you all that are on the podcast here with us. At some point, you start to realize that there are goals in our life that do not lend themselves to efficiency. That's wisdom. And the goal should really be to age with wisdom and with grace and with a calmness and with clarity on what it is we all can be. And that really is not something we learn through efficiency. It's something that we cultivate through habit. That's the tone with which we wrote this book. Those are the messages that are inside of it. And I wish I had a magic bullet. I tell my patients I wish I had a magic pill that I could give them that will give them what they want quickly and efficiently. Guess what? If I had those, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Instead, I am holding hands and encouraging and trying to shed light on the fact that we're going to live through it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to cultivate the habits. We're going to do it one day at a time. But it's not efficient. It's something that is a goal that we live towards. We do it because we know what to do, but it's actually our habits that get us there, and they don't happen overnight.
And I would also say to that end, there's very good research that says you do need to print this out and write these things down longhand. It helps you retain information better. It helps galvanize your problem-solving brain. And I'm not the first person to come up with the idea that you should keep a health journal. Jeff has been a proponent of a health journal just for the runners for so long. So what this one does is help you overlay how you're sleeping, what you're eating, and how you're moving your body all in one place. And there's also a place to chart the menstrual cycle. There's a place to chart, like, for example, if you want to write down what you're grateful for, how you're feeling, and then also include your health numbers. I mean, it's your life written down right in front of you, and that's how you recognize a pattern.
Over time, as you cultivate the habits, as you move toward wellness, as you set goals that are good for you, for people around you, for your family, for your coworkers, for whomever it is.
And you might not think that's efficient, but I do. It's all you have to do is write down what you're already doing. It doesn't seem that complicated. It's simple, but it's not simplistic.
I actually do keep a journal. It helps me keep my head together and know what's going on. And I keep to-do lists. So if I'm getting ready to go to bed and there's something I'm thinking, it's on my head, I write it on my to-do list. And it might be something is think about this. And it's in my tomorrow. It's not in my right now. But the other side of this is when we went to school, they taught us how to do equations, and we always work from left to right. And so when you talk about the health aspects and the efficiency, I think it's in the sleep and the efficiency, and they want the efficiency first. I think it's the other way around. I think if you get good rest, you're going to be so much more productive the next day that you're actually going to get a lot more done. Your productivity is going to go way, way up. And that's going to feed into this cycle. And doing it for the full 30 weeks, I think you'll see the full health benefits of putting the sleep first So working the equation from the left to the right, not getting everything done in one day. Some of it you push off to the next day, you get your rest, and then tomorrow you've got that much more energy to go forward.
This is Carmen. One more really important aspect about sleep. Because you'll be pushing yourself as you exercise, you need the sleep to rest and recover from the stress you put on your physical self. So sleeping is absolutely important if you want that lean muscle look.
Ditto. Yes. I'm right on that one. Yes. So we talk about, in the book, you get into several different chronic diseases, and each of these chronic diseases that you're kind of into, there's a lifestyle component to why we're suffering from these. So I want to get into at least a couple of them while we have time here. So the first one is blood pressure. So there are certain lifestyle things over the course of being in the program, the 30 weeks, that we're going to do to lower our blood pressure. Can you kind of talk about that?
Just, 2 weeks ago, the American College of Cardiologists has changed the definition of hypertension so that right now, if you have a blood pressure of over 130/80, you are defined as having hypertension. So with the change in that definition, we have just moved to, I think it's almost half of all Americans have blood pressure. Our blood pressure, as you know, goes up with age, and 40 is that number. It just haunts us all, where our bodies are starting to show the signs of age. So many of your listeners likely have high blood pressure. So where we start with the book on high blood pressure addresses some of the worries and concerns you may have about exercising on medications that are often given for blood pressure. And not only that, but what you can do with your lifestyle to change the way your blood pressure is. A lot of what we focus on there does have to do with weight loss and seeking a healthy weight. And we give some nutrition advice on what to eat, and limiting salt being the number one thing you can do to help lower your blood pressure.
So the American Heart Association guidelines that came out certainly have led to a lot of recent press about how many people have high blood pressure or will be diagnosed with it. And it's just absolutely clear that the pill alone is not enough for curing and addressing what the real goal is with blood pressure control. So there again, the multiple components that we prescribe in the book are all components of reaching the goal of an optimal or a good blood pressure. So that's certainly the kind of target that we have in this book. Yes, many of us will be diagnosed with blood pressures that are high and need to be better. And going after an improved blood pressure takes modifying what we do and improving our physical fitness, as well as looking very carefully at what it is we eat and how we fuel our bodies, as well as how we restore ourselves through sleep.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. When you're looking at the multiple choice of how do I control blood pressure, and you say the pill, diet, movement, sleep, the answer is E, all of the above. You really have to kind of put all of them together and working with your physician, because if you get into a program and you're not talking to your physician and you do have high blood pressure, there can be some complications there as you start to change and you don't change your medication. So there's definitely a dynamic there where you really have to kind of keep all of them in front of you.
Right. And we always recommend these lifestyle modifications before giving prescriptions. They're fundamental to everyone. Very similarly, another condition we address is osteoarthritis or joint pain. And similarly, how we move and how we engage in movement and what our weight is and what we're asking, what stresses we're asking our joints to bear, and how we restore ourselves with sleep. All of these are likewise important for something as common as aching joints, and the most common form being osteoarthritis, which all of us will have at some point if we're fortunate enough to live long enough.
I think the most important thing as we address our health concerns and trying to use our lifestyles to prevent and treat health with disease, it comes back to being consistent with what you're doing. And that's how you treat exercise as medicine. You don't miss your blood pressure medication, and make sure you sleep enough, and make sure you get in your one walk if that's what's on the calendar for today, and make sure you take your rest days, and make sure you're not eating too much outside of the home. Make sure you're not eating too much at restaurants. I know it sounds simple, but if you don't chart it, you won't see how you're actually impacting yourself, because your intentions are so good. right? But if you don't write it down, it's really easy to slip in terms of the way you're using your lifestyle to actually treat the medical condition.
I think it's really fundamental to understand, Alan, we are completely committed to the fact that regardless of what chronic health conditions you may have, and we cover about 10 different ones you'll see in the book there. And those are common ones. There are other ones, but these are very common ones that many people will be familiar with at some point in their life, especially as we age. But regardless of what chronic health conditions you may have or you may encounter, taking a close look and making sure that you optimize what you're doing in your lifestyle choices as it relates to your physical fitness, as it relates to what and how we eat and how we sleep and how much we sleep are fundamental. These are foundational and should be they're a huge part, if you will, of our everyday life. And any medications that we need are on top of that. So we're really trying to optimize for everyone these lifestyle choices that are a part of optimizing health and wellness. And then in addition to this, saying use these in conversations with your physicians, talk about medications that you may have been prescribed, look at these things that you're doing in your everyday life with your fitness and with what you're eating and your goals there, as well as with your sleeping, and put these all together to see what you can do to optimize your health, your well-being, how you feel, how you think, and how you get to approach and enjoy life.
The last thing everybody here wants to be is the guy who told me, Doc, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's the cool thing. The journal is a great tool for you to kind of keep all of these balls in the air, for a lack of a better thing. But you don't need to get overwhelmed with all these different things, because we've thrown a lot at them, ladies. We've thrown a lot at them today. But the real answer is the gentle progression, and the program that you have in the Women's Guide to Health kind of takes them through these 30-week progressions that are going to take you from wherever you are health-wise today to where you want to be from a lifestyle and health perspective.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. This is Ruth, and we really appreciate the opportunity to get the message out and to be able to engage with listeners to the podcast. We would love to hear from people as they interact with this, with thoughts, suggestions. We certainly put years of our own experience, Jeff, with many years of his experience combined into the book, and we look forward to hearing the experience of others. Jeff has a recent TED Talk that really talks about mental training and about our thinking as we age that's worth taking a look at as well. You'll see that online under a TEDx in Jacksonville. And his books, he's got so many that are out there, are great tips for continued engagement. But we really do appreciate the opportunity to share with others and look forward to hearing from listeners.
Alan, we've got a page. You can like us on Facebook.
Okay. Well, right now I hear herprescriptions.com. I'm going to try to find Jeff's TED Talk, and I'll try to link to that in the show notes. And then you've got a Facebook page. Is there anywhere else you ladies would like for me to send folks that want to learn more about you, converse with you, or whatnot?
Oh, look us up on Amazon. Buy the book. You can buy it from Barnes & Noble. You can get it. You can get it at Postman Bookshop if you're located here in Atlanta. And you can also go ahead and you can grab it from herprescriptions.com. Our Facebook page is the Women's Guide to Health. It's hard to miss. Okay. I will make sure to have all those links in the show notes. So again, Ruth and Carmen, thank you so much for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you out there.
Thanks, Alan.
Again, I want to thank you for being a part of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm glad you joined me. Would you please do me a favor right now? Would you go and subscribe, rate, and review the 40 Plus Fitness podcast? You can go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/review, and it will take you straight to the show on iTunes. I really appreciate your willingness to act and help people find us. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Audrey Johns and discuss her book, Lose Weight by Eating Detox Week. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.